What's going on, guys? Thank you for tuning in to the BS Show. Brett here, and I wanted to do a fun little video on the biggest 5 fights that I want to see in the year 2020. Like I said in an earlier video, Dana White projects 2020 to be one of his biggest years. And if what I read was correct, 2019 was their biggest year, and his projections are to be much larger, mostly in part for Conor McGregor, fighting 3 times, obviously. So I wanted to go through and give the 5 fights that I want to see this year. Number 5. The only reason why this fight is number 5 and not number 1 is because it is this Saturday. And that is Conor McGregor versus Cowboy Cerrone. Steven and I already did a video on this fight and gave a little breakdown, so I'm not going to get too in-depth. But this is a fight I am extremely excited about, and it is this Saturday. Barring any injuries or weight cut issues or anything like that, I think this is going to be a great fight. Conor McGregor has been off for a few years, and then you got Cowboy Cerrone, who holds multiple records in the UFC, and it's just going to be fireworks. So I'm super, super excited about this fight. Let's pray to the MMA gods nothing happens, and then let's also pray that this goes to a 5-round war. Number 4 is Dominick Cruz versus Henry Cejudo. As we all know, Henry Cejudo is just rising and rising and rising as a superstar in the UFC. He's coming off a huge win a couple years back against Demetrious Johnson, which a lot of people thought Demetrious Johnson was the GOAT, so he got that flyweight belt. Then he moved up a division to fight TJ Dillashaw. He beat him real quick. He got that belt, so now he holds 3 belts. You got the flyweight, you got the bantamweight, and you also got that gold medal from the Olympics. But you also got a guy in Dominick Cruz who is the GOAT of that division. I believe he is the longest title holder in that division in UFC history, and also the first title holder in UFC history in that division. So he's coming back. He hopes to be back this year. And I mean, if Henry Cejudo is wanting to cement his legacy, one would have to think he has to beat Dominick Cruz at some point in his career. Obviously, Dominick Cruz has had a litany of injuries in his career, but it seems like every time we count out Dominick Cruz, he comes back and he regains his belt. So I think that would be a great fight for the fans. But yet, all these MMA guys who really love the sport know how good Dominick Cruz is with his footwork and his elusiveness. But at the same time, Henry Cejudo is a rising star, so I think that fight needs to happen in 2020. Number 3, I would love to see Jon Jones move up to the heavyweight division and fight the killer in Stipe Miocic. You got Stipe, who just beat DC to regain his belts. For those of you who do not know, he lost to Daniel Cormier, and then they had a rematch, and then he beat him, so he is the heavyweight champion. But you also have Jon Jones, who many consider is the GOAT in UFC, and certainly the GOAT in the lightweight division. Jon Jones has a tough task coming up against Dominic Reyes, which Steven and I did a breakdown on. I would highly recommend watching that fight to see what happens. And this fight probably kind of depends on what happens in that fight. I don't anticipate Jon Jones losing that fight, so we'll just assume he wins, and that would set up a super fight at the heavyweight division. Jon Jones has ran through the lightweight division time and time again, and I think to get him excited and get him ready and motivated, he needs a new challenge. And I think by him moving up to the heavyweight division, that levels the playing field, but it also gives Jon Jones sights to set on some new gold. So that's what I'm doing with number 3. Number 2, my fight that I really want to see, that's number 2. It's not quite number 1. It's Israel Adesanya against Paulo Costa. Israel Adesanya has been the breakout star over 2019, and they fully anticipate him to have a huge year in 2020. He is now the champion, beating Robert Whittaker pretty handily, I might add, and he just looks amazing. I mean, his striking is on a whole nother level. He's long, he's accurate, he's got a great personality, he seems like a down-to-earth guy. I mean, there is literally nothing you cannot like about Israel Adesanya. But if he were to fight Paulo Costa, that is a very, very tough match, simply because Paulo Costa is a freak of nature. He also has extremely good pressure. He is durable, and he pushes the pace in those fights. So that would be a great fight to see who's going to give. Can Paulo Costa's pressure break Israel Adesanya? Or is Israel going to be able to stay at range and pick him apart like he seems to do to everybody? So that's my number 2 fight that I want to see in the year 2020. Now, going to my number 1 fight, this is a fight that has been planned and booked, so we thought, at least 500 times now, and that is the championship fight between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Tony Ferguson. If this fight does not happen this time, I'm going to go crazy. I mean, I've been excited for this fight. I've been teased for this fight for, it seems like, 5 years now. At least 3 to 4 times they were supposed to fight, and it never came to fruition. So I really, really hope this fight comes, not only because Khabib is one of the most dominant fighters at the lightweight division. His wrestling just seems to be so much to handle for anybody, but you finally have a guy who a lot of people believe can stop him, and you got a lot of people that believe is not afraid to go to the ground with Khabib and Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson's got great striking. He's got great boxing. He's a 2-time All-American wrestler, and he also has great 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu. So going to the ground is somewhere that Tony Ferguson is very, very comfortable at, unlike a lot of Khabib's other opponents. Most of Khabib's other opponents, they put a heavy emphasis on keeping it standing and at all costs avoid the ground. Tony Ferguson is very, very good on the ground, and he actually likes to pull people in his guard, and he likes to throw those elbows, and he's very offensive on the ground. So this fight has to happen. If it doesn't happen, I'm calling Dana White, and we're gonna sign a petition to get this fight going, because this fight is gonna be great. Khabib, Tony Ferguson has to happen in the year 2020. So those are my top 5 fights that I want to see in 2020. I hope you guys liked the video. Let me know if you have any other matchups that you would want to see happen that we can talk about. And I hope you guys have a fantastic 2020 and look forward to this weekend's fight with Conor McGregor against Donald Cerrone. Thank you.